What's up, guys? So in this video, I actually want to share with you a few things I wish someone told me before visiting Medellin. Now, this actually was my second time in the city, but there's a few things that still caught me off guard. First, I want to talk about the weather. I know when a lot of people think about Caribbean islands or South America, they think about these nice tropical places with nice beaches and think about this nice sunny tropical vacation, which is generally true. Colombia is probably on the top of that list of places that come to mind when you think of that. But Medellin is very different. So Medellin has one of the weirdest weathers I've experienced. It's not tropical, but it's not cold either. So take it with a grain of salt. They call Medellin the city of eternal spring, which is nice. It's nice, but at the same time, it makes it super hard to pack for the trip. You don't know if you should leave your long sleeves home, just bring shorts. You don't know if you should bring shorts or jeans. It makes it hard to pack. So I don't know if you guys seen, but in my videos, I'm going from jeans to shorts, long sleeve to hoodies. I got a little bit of everything going on. So Medellin's weather is really based on how much sun is out. So it usually is about 70 to 80 degrees. But if the sun is out, it makes it feel that much hotter. So if it's 75, if the sun is out, it can feel like 85. If it's 75 and it's cloudy, it can feel like 65. But in general, Medellin can be very cloudy and rainy and foggy. So just keep that in mind if you're going on one of those Instagram pic taking trips. Try to get up early and get things done because the fog can hit literally at any time and you don't want it to ruin your trip. The next mistake you want to be sure to avoid is to make sure you bring walking shoes. Medellin is really a walking city, and I know when we think about it, we think about, the nightlife and the restaurants. So we want to bring our best fits. So we might leave the walking shoes home, but don't do it. Medellin is the type of city you get the most out of it when you're walking around, and a lot of the biggest attractions are actually very, very walk intensive. So you're gonna be walking. If you go to Comuna 13, it could span anywhere from 10 to 20 blocks. El Poblado, another place that could span 10 to 20 blocks. La Setenta, it could be 10, 15 blocks of walking. And in Medellin, you're going to be doing a lot of bar hopping. You're going to be going from restaurant to restaurant. And a lot of these things are in the same neighborhood where you don't want to take an Uber, but at the same time, you don't want to be walking around in your Sunday's best. The next thing you want to be aware of is Uber. And I'm not talking about the drivers or anything like that. Uber drivers in Colombia are typically pretty nice. They'll spark up a conversation, give you recommendations, and they'll help you out pretty much with anything you need. What I'm talking about are kind of the hidden fees, and not hidden because Uber lets you know, but basically when I was in Colombia, I kept getting these notifications after I took my Uber ride. And in America, we usually, you'll get one or two notifications asking to review the driver, but I got like maybe 4 or 5. So I checked it out and I saw I was getting hit with a couple extra fees, and it was maybe 3. I can't remember them all off the head, but I know one was a waiting charge, which isn't, too out of the ordinary for Americans. We usually do get hit with a waiting charge after a certain amount of time, but the one that really caught me off guard was a distance charge. Now, of course, some things you can't control like traffic or whatever, but I did feel like some of my Uber drivers were taking a longer route and I didn't know why. But after getting a distance charge, I kind of figured it out. They wanted a couple extra gringo dollars. Now, don't get me wrong, it was literally maybe $1 or 2, but it's just something to keep in mind the next time you're out there thinking that you're taking an Uber and it's gonna be the same kind of system that we do in America. There are a few extra fees, so just keep a lookout for that. So this next one is for the fellas. So ladies, if you want to take a break, go grab some snacks, come back in a minute or two. I'll be here talking about something else. But it is about Colombian women. Now I have a niece, so I'm not going to go super in depth about this. Maybe I'll do it on another video because she does watch my videos and this topic is a little over her age range. So I'm going to touch on it very lightly. But I do want to say a lot of Americans come here with false expectation of Colombian women, with the idea that all Colombian women are super infatuated with American men and all Colombian women want a visa, which couldn't be further from the truth, especially in Medellin. So Medellin has had a booming tourist industry for maybe the last 10 or 20 years. So quite frankly, American men just aren't that special. It's a bunch of Americans who live here, digital nomads, things like that. So I think a lot of Americans, when they get here, they're actually surprised to see how Colombian women react to them. And I think this mindset or expectation American men have when they come to Colombia actually has backfired in Medellin specifically because there's so many American men. A lot of Colombian women think American men come to Colombia just for one specific reason. So take it as you may, just keep it in mind when you want to talk to certain Colombian women. But kind of on the opposite side of that, because Colombian women know American men come to Colombia for a specific reason, there are a few that use that to their advantage, and you could definitely find those women, but more in the super touristy areas, blah blah, places like that where you actually have these women out there seeking out these type of men. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna talk about is food. So women, yes, please come back. Because I know this is a big topic with the females. You want a nice dinner, you want a nice ambiance, you want to get the best meals the country has to offer. And unfortunately, Colombia has a really crappy reputation when it comes to food. But I have to say, I do think the country is underrated when it comes to food. And one of the reasons is I think a lot of people go to Colombia not doing their research and just asking locals. And I think they don't understand that Medellin is a super simple place. And the people there are simple. They eat, for the most part, a lot of the same things every day. So when you ask for a recommendation, they're most likely going to give you something super local and super, not with the glitz and glam. They're going to give you something that they'll eat, for the majority of the week. They might tell you chicken and rice or something like that. So they're not going to give you that tourist dish that you're looking for. They're not going to give you the creme de la creme type of meal that you might be seeking out. And in this case, you want to do some research before you come to Medellin about the food they have there. You want to look up restaurants. You want to look up all this stuff, because when you ask a local, they're probably not going to give you the touristy places because they're not going there. They're not going to the 5-star restaurants, and they're not having, those type of meals. It's something they might eat during Christmas, a dia festivo, a day, a holiday or something, but they're not eating these things every day, and it's probably not coming to mind. So they're going to give you, popular local places. On the same token is money. I have a lot of people who ask me, what's the cheapest country you've been to? What's the most affordable country? Where do you get your bang for your buck? And my answer is always narrowed down to Colombia or Mexico. But after this last trip, I am 100% certain it is Colombia. This may be the third or fourth trip that I went to Colombia and I came back with money. And no, not like $20 worth of pesos. I come back usually with almost $100 worth of pesos. Actually, before my last trip, I had a couple pesos laying around, so I gathered them all up, counted them up, and it came up to 70 USD. So Colombia is definitely a place where you want to not overshoot your budget, because you'll be left with pesos. I mean, unless you're planning on going out there and getting bottle service every day, eating 5-star meals every day, you'll probably not spend as much as you take out. So try to keep that in mind, especially if you're not a frequent traveler to Colombia, because you don't want this money laying around in your house. It kind of doesn't affect me because, like I said, I'll gather this money up and I'll just add it to my next budget. But you definitely want to keep that in mind when going to Colombia, that things probably aren't as expensive as you think. And a part of that is because Colombia is not a very tourist trappy kind of place, especially mainland areas, Medellin, Bogota. They don't look to prey on tourists, not as much as other countries like Mexico or Morocco. Some of these countries you go to and the markup is insane. I think they call it a foreigner tax, this invisible tax that you get charged for not being a local. Well, the foreigner tax in Colombia is not as high as many other places you go. Yes, of course, these local vendors want to make an extra buck, but they don't do it at the markup as other places. And because Colombia is already generally a very affordable place, you end up coming ahead. So don't go to Colombia, please, for 4 or 5 days with $1,000. You probably will not spend it. I usually take about $300 for 4-5 days. General rule of thumb, I wouldn't recommend taking over $100 a day. Meals are very cheap. Nightlife is very cheap. Everything you need is going to be affordable, so don't make that mistake. All right, guys, and the last one on our list is avoid touchy topics. Now, Colombia tends to be a little more politically charged than like in America. So at times, things you might say to a local or conversations you might want to have, you think is regular, but it might be taboo. So one of the big examples of this is talking about things like Pablo Escobar or the country's drug history. A lot of Colombians don't like talking about it. It's a very sensitive topic. And I know we like to go over there with our Pablo Escobar shirts or those shirts with the catchy lines from Narcos, Plato Plomo, things like that. But you might want to leave those tucked away in a suitcase at home. I mean, for the most part, the average Colombian isn't going to walk up to you and ask you why you're wearing that or bring it up. But some Colombians do take offense to this, and it is a thing some Colombians want to leave in the past. So just keep that in mind when you might want to spark up a conversation with a local or ask something that's always been on your mind. It is kind of a gray area, so proceed with caution. But all right, guys, that was the 7 things I wish I knew before going to Colombia. I hope it's helpful. I hope on the next trip you guys take these things in mind and it helps you out, get you off to a fast start. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. Please, the channel was growing. I really enjoy all you guys in the comments. It's your boy here at a check-in. I'll be back with another one. Peace.